Salt. We are over in a different part of our house today. Instead of being behind the desk in the bookcase, which we've done for, I don't know, a long time now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've lived here almost, 2.5 years. So.
Yeah. We decided to move over to the den set, which I think we actually started over here when we first got down here because
yeah, we did.
We didn't have the house set up. So we were like, I think we set the love seat couch up and thing real quick so we could broadcast, but we thought we'd do a change of pace. So here we are over on the love seat in the den of the house. And got to kick things up, change it around for the new year. We were going to go on location somewhere, but...
Too windy out today. It was actually fairly warm. It would have been warm enough to go out, but I think the wind would not have worked out so well.
Would have been. Go out there right now and see what it's like. I was just standing out there. Our landlord was over wrapping up the outside spigots because tonight it's going to get like really, really cold, and it's already pretty darn cold out there. Mm. Yeah, but not as cold as it is I hear in Nebraska and maybe out in North Carolina and some other places.
Yeah, well, even Tennessee is supposed to get 2 to 5 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I don't think we're supposed to get snow or anything. It's just supposed to get really cold, although they've canceled Aspen's classes for Tuesday already in advance. They're already going to say, well, just stay at home, we'll do everything online. And I guess in Texas, school gets canceled for cold, but here we are.
It was canceled technically for ice, because there was supposed to be an ice storm. Possible wintry mix, but clearly that is hopefully going to pass us
less
by.
And less.
Yeah.
So, that's going to be a tough one this weekend. So wherever you're at, I hope you stay warm. I hope you don't lose power.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were just talking here in the house in Nebraska. We had 2 fireplaces. So if we lost power, worst, is sleep in front of the fireplace and keep a fire going.
Mm-hmm.
And we did have a kerosene heater as well. But here, there's no fireplace or anything. It's like, boy, if we lose power, we're...
Go sit in the car.
Yeah, go sleep in the car, I guess.
Yeah, so what people did in Vegas when the air, in the summer, when the air would, go out.
Oh, right, no power, yeah. So, anyway, it's going to be an interesting weekend for all of us, so, yeah. And I'm just now starting to get over being sick. If you saw last weekend, I was, hanging on, and I was there, sort of, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. He was a trooper.
Here we are again, so doing better. It's still the whole, after COVID, you get the whole, you do anything and you just get really exhausted. It's weird.
Yeah, we probably would not have allowed him to sit so close last week had we known it was COVID at that point in time, but it just seemed like a bad cold.
Yeah.
But then it progressed.
It had some weird...
It was definitely more than a cold.
Yeah. It was very much a cold for a while, and then it just got some of those other odd symptoms. Some is like, oh no, this is not a cold. And then, but now it's just like I'm fine, I feel great. And then you get up and you brush your hair, and it's like, I'm exhausted, and you lay down. And that's the most frustrating part, just being so tired over doing nothing. Mm-hmm. And I do remember that from the first time I had COVID. I remember that very well, where it was just any little thing and you just got exhausted for something.
No, actually that was not the first time. The first time he had such slight symptoms that he didn't even tell me about them until a few days later when I said, oh, I this and that, and he's like, oh, very same thing happened to me, but it was so slight that you hadn't bothered to tell me. Oh, that was in Lincoln.
Well, I'm talking about here.
Oh, okay.
I mean the real first time.
No, it wasn't the real first time. When you had your blood drawn.
She thought Lincoln was the first time.
It was.
But
it was because remember when they tested, it said you had COVID twice.
Yeah, but because I didn't really feel it the first time, so that doesn't count.
It makes it real because the rest of us, me, had it for real.
Yeah. So, anyway, now I don't even know what I was talking about.
I shouldn't argue the point though because fortunately Aspen and I have remain symptom free. So we're very happy about that. Very happy about that.
Welcome to Salt, where I say something and then she goes, no, that's not true at all. That's what we do now.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, and you totally lost my point now. I don't even know what I was talking about.
I don't know either.
You just blew me off, and like, now what am I talking about? I don't know.
You said the first time you had COVID, that's when you were like so tired and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Yeah. What's interesting is that him and Earl's daughter Randy, even though entire states apart, pretty well had COVID at the very same time.
Oh, same time, yeah.
Yeah. She ended up with COVID while they were traveling to New York City.
Yeah.
Had it before they got here there. She just didn't realize it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so that's kind of what's been going on here. And I've missed the entire first week of school, which feels weird. Although I still had to do stuff because I'm the chair. And so people are, I need this signed, and I need this signed, and I need this done. And so I was trying to, like, on the, get the stuff done. So I still did stuff. But
yeah, he sat at his computer all day at the desk.
Trying to get adjunct teachers started, and so it was all that, but I wasn't actually in the office.
No, but you were still doing all the work.
Yeah. So anyway, all right, so thanks for joining us. That's it. I don't know. Now what are we going to do? Now what will we talk about?
What will we talk about? What we talked about. That's what we're talking about.
Oh, okay. We're going to talk about what we talked about.
Yeah.
And that's our talking topic today, is what we talked about.
Oh, yeah, it's called Sing a New Song.
Nothing wrong with the old songs.
No.
The old songs are the best.
No, that's not true.
Back when music made sense in the 80s, those are the best songs. Yay, 80s music.
Well, that's not our point today, though.
No, that's what it made me think of.
Yeah, I knew it would.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to do a whole little name that tune, but then I couldn't figure out how to do it because, I mean, you're not going to know 80s songs. And
I know a handful of them.
Aspen probably would know some if I could do,
I mean, I remember there was a guy named Boy George and Madonna and, people like that.
Yes, there were people like that.
Yes,
yes there was.
Yes.
You could do a Name That Lyric.
Name that lyric?
Yeah.
Oh, Michael Jackson.
No, Michael Jackson, yeah, he was big. Let's see. I don't know, I could do either I could name the artist, or I could name the title of a song, you could tell me the artist. Or, like, I could say an artist, you can say one of their songs, or I can say a song, you can tell me who did it. Which one?
The first one.
Name an artist and you tell me one of their songs?
Yeah.
All right, we'll go Rick Springfield.
Don't Talk to Strangers.
Don't Talk to Strangers. Wow, that's an odd choice. How did you know that one?
I don't know, I heard it and it sounded nice.
Okay. Michael Jackson.
Beat It.
Beat It, okay. Madonna.
Material Girl.
Material Girl, yeah. Let's see. Huey Lewis and the News.
Hip to Be Square.
Hip to Be Square. And I can get her. I'm being really easy. These are easy ones. Although Aspen is fairly steeped in 80s music. We did a lot of that, I don't know, a few years ago. We were listening, was it through mini discs or something? You'd seen all my 80s music. And so, all right, here, I'll throw her on this one. Kajagoogoo. Yeah, as far as I know, they only had the one hit.
Yeah, I listened to it. I don't remember what it's called.
Bad English, or A Flock of Seagulls. I think you know the song. I think it made a comeback. I'll Stop the World and Melt With You.
Oh, Melt With You.
Yeah, Melt
I
With
know
You.
that.
Yeah, that came
Yeah.
back, yeah. So, thanks for joining us today as we did a review of 80s music, the old songs. But we are not talking about old songs. No.
We're talking
We're
about
new
older,
songs.
Talking about older songs than that.
Older songs.
The songs.
Oh,
But anyways, go ahead.
new songs.
New songs. Yes. Was that the...
That was the segue, and you totally
We do
just...
this every time.
Oh my
How come I don't
gosh,
get
I set it up.
this?
It's right there. It's
I
just
know.
sitting there.
I know.
And she goes right by it.
I miss it every time. That's really sad.
So we're working on it, though. We are working on it.
Yeah, maybe in a few years I'll get it.
We'll get that.
sometime.
Yeah, it's the segue. So here we go. We're talking about new songs.
Yes. Okay. So I don't know about you guys, but we know we're supposed to memorize Bible verses, right?
Yeah.
And so honestly, like I tried any number of times over the course of my life to memorize Bible verses, but you'd pick out those verses, like the one verse here, one verse there, a couple of verses here, a couple of verses there, and eventually I would just give up because I don't know why I found it so hard just to memorize those single verses like that. And I'd say it was a little over a year ago by now. I saw someone on Facebook. They suggested that you memorize a passage of at least 10 verses, and I thought, oh, are you kidding me? I can't even get one verse down to, continue on, But eventually I thought, you know what? I'm going to give it a try because I do want to memorize some Bible verses. And so I just have to say that memorizing a passage is far easier than memorizing those single verses. So if you would like to give it a try, if you can't just get those Bible verses down, I would suggest you try memorizing a passage. Now, what makes some of those really easier to learn is that I just start with easy ones. Like most of us would know a lot of the stories and such that are in the Gospels, right? Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, the healing of the man of the pool of Bethesda, or build your house upon the rock, and not the sand and such. And it's really amazing actually how repetitive some of those are anyways. And so it makes it much easier that way, obviously, as well. And so since we kind of know those stories, it's much easier to memorize them because it makes so much more sense since we already know it.
I used to do it with sign language.
Yes.
That's how I started learning sign language. Was I was just using books, and I would take a Bible verse and translate into sign language and memorize the sign, and then then I would come up with the Bible verse, and that's how I would memorize Bible promises. That and like let's see, confident that He who began a good work in you will continue until Jesus' day. And I used to do all these things, but I used to think it was really important for like. When I was in Sacramento, this is before we met, each week I would make these Bible promise cards. I would print them out on cardstock, and I would laminate them and cut them into squares and punch a hole. And I would meet every Wednesday. I would meet with the kids at the academy, and had a little chaplain office, and we'd just do a little. I'd pass the thing out, and everybody would get a card once a week, and it was one of those where you had the big ring and. You had all these cards that were, and they were cool. They had graphics on it and fun fonts and everything, and then they could just keep them on their backpack or locker, and it was just this ring of Bible promises.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea.
It was fun
as well. Yeah. So, anyways, I had great plans for last year, and I did. I did memorize obviously more than I'd probably ever memorized in my entire life put together, and yet at the same time, I didn't memorize as much as I had wanted to, but. It was a good start, and so this year we're getting off to a better start. We're only a couple weeks in, so. But yes, we have. We if you don't succeed the first time, just keep trying, and it will get better. So as you develop your habit, so.
Yeah, for most things, not skydiving. If at first you don't succeed, then skydiving may not be for you.
Yeah, probably not. So yeah. But so this year I decided to start off with Psalm 23. That is also something a little bit new and different. Actually, I ended up last year. I was like, oh, I'm going to do Psalm 37 because at one point in time when I was younger, that was a favorite of mine. And it was relatively long. I ended up memorizing it in 3 separate parts, and so I had the 3 separate parts memorized. But by the time I did that, I never did like mentally go through it straight all the way through, and so I'm gonna have to go back to that one and finish it, because I want to be able to go through it in my mind, even though I had each section separately memorized. I wanted to get it all together at one time. So, But the songs are actually working out better than I thought that they would. They too are a little bit repetitive. They kind of like you might have two verses next to each other that say the same things only with different words, and so it makes it easier to memorize things that way. So, anyways, Psalm 33, verse 3. You know, when you're first going through it, you go over it and over it and over it. You know, and the verse 3 said, "Sing a new song," and at first you're just memorizing it, right? And then eventually I'm like, "Sing a new song." That's kind of just an odd kind of line. Why does it say sing a new song? I thought, well, you know, it's just pretty filler in every poetry, and songs have to have something like that. So that's nice. But then I thought, well, eventually I thought, what's wrong with the old song? Right? Okay, so I woke up one morning and I was going through it again, and I was like, oh, okay, well, sing a new song in comparison to the old song. Well, the old song, you know, we're all familiar with that phrase that says, same old song and dance. And basically meaning that, you know, someone asks you, oh, how you doing? You go, oh, same old song and dance. You know, they know what you're talking about. Same thing, nothing really new. But if, you know, if they're asking you about work and you say, hey, same old song and dance, basically, you know,
Is this a German thing?
No, you don't remember that?
Same old song and dance?
Yeah, you never heard that before?
Was it something in Alaska you guys said?
I grew up hearing it, okay. Yeah.
What, in the Dakotas or something? What?
Did I ever live in the Dakotas?
I don't know. Half your family lives in the Dakotas, or at least your ancestors.
Well, anyways, I heard it growing up.
Same old song and dance.
Yeah, same old song and dance. So basically, it meant that, you know, nothing had changed. Same old things to complain about, same old things to grumble about. It was just the same as it always was.
Oh, let's start using that.
Yeah. So how's it going? Well,
same old song and dance. Yeah, I kind of like that.
So basically, we need to sing a new song rather than stay in the same cycle of doing things. Like the same old song and dance. We cycle through that. Instead of doing something positive to change that, basically. Yeah.
Break the cycle.
Yeah, maybe instead of grumbling and complaining about work, go to work with a new attitude.
Nah, I like grumbling. I'm a grumble. Grumble. I got to work. Sorry, I got to class. It's fun.
It's not fun.
This is not fun.
So, anyways, moving on to part 2 here.
Part 2. So,
Yes.
Part 1, break the song and dance into new break dancing.
There you go. Okay. So a friend of mine writes poetry, and she knows a lot about writing poetry. Personally, I've never been a big poetry fan. And I don't know that I ever really sat down to write a poem.
Did you ever take a poetry class?
No, I never did. Huh?
It'll change your perspective.
It probably would. And it's not as though I've never read poetry that I don't like, that I do like.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard poetry and read poetry that I do like.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, I never paid that much attention to poetry.
I took 18th century British lit. We did poetry, and you get an appreciation for it. A lot of you think, man, these guys were weird, and they were mostly on drugs when they wrote their poetry. But you get some, like, you get these, I'm trying to think, John Donne, he does these, really deep, kind of introspective on life and the end of life and death and stuff, and you do kind of get like, wow, that is a different, interesting way of looking at, a perspective of life, and, I guess it's just how the poet mind thinks. It's just like...
Yeah, I think they do think a little bit differently. But anyways, I do have a handful of prose I've written that kind of happens when I'm writing other stuff, and all of a sudden out comes like, oh, I think this is turning into some poetry rather than just writing something. But don't you
feel different when you write that way? Like, I've rarely, but long ago, and I would write a poem or two, but I I could feel it coming on. Like now this is turning into something else, and I would have a different emotion. I would feel different.
I guess, yeah. It puts what you're seeing differently.
Differently, yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I read your stuff, you sound very different. When you get into that, I'll tell you, I was like, well, this is poetic. This is moving into poetic. And, it sounds, way different.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, I actually enjoy it when I do it, and I love my poetry that I've written. I don't know that other people do. Okay, so actually my friend writes more highbrow poetry, and she knows all the correct number of syllables and all this kind of stuff and how many lines and that sort of thing. And I just write what's in my head at the moment. And yeah. So
I write and there I saw the cat. And I really like seeing that because of cats, we don't have bats. And that's what I have to say about that.
Well, very good, Brett. Very good. Yeah.
I'm a poet.
Yeah. Not bad on the spur of the moment. Because none of my poetry rhymes. It's all just prose. But, it works. So, anyways, a while back, she shared a poem that she'd written. And she shared any number of poems. Sadly, she knows I don't really like poetry. So, but this poem caught my attention because it was really pretty different, and that's what kind of caught my eye, and I kind of liked it. She wrote basically about this. She compared herself to a used up Burger King wrapper. Where once upon a time she'd been there in a pile, basically, and she was used to wrap up a burger, and it's useful. And it's clean and something everyone appreciates having, right? And yet once it's used, so there was the wrapper, with its spots of ketchup and leftover burger and such on there, just being blown about by the wind, and it got blown up into a tree and was stuck there, and it was entirely unable to help itself get down, right? And so sin, basically, it uses us up and tosses us aside. And the winds of life blow us here and there, and whispering to us that we are not enough. Next thing you know, we're out there doing more and getting more to be enough. And so we get stuck in the cycle of sin, unable to save ourselves. And like the used up Burger King wrapper stuck in the tree. So in the poem, God ends up writing up to the tree where the Burger King wrapper is stuck, and he rescues it, and he cleans it up, right, and changes it into something entirely new, a plain white piece of paper that declares the power of God, and it has a new song to sing. No more old song and dance for it. It now has a new song to sing, and this is comparable to us, and what God does for us. You're laughing. I know that was not like when he read that poem, I was like, oh, look at this poem that she wrote. And he was like,
What was she smoking?
Yeah, that's what he thought. Well, we know better than that about her.
We do, but a Burger King burger wrapper blown into a tree and it gets recycled. And poetry speaks differently to different people. Yeah. This one just seemed bizarre to me.
It was unique.
It was very unique.
It was very unique, and that's what caught my eye about it. Yeah.
I like it had spots of ketchup and leftover burger. Well, don't eat a whole lot of burgers, do you?
No, but they drip.
Yes, they do drip.
Yes.
You would not find mustard on mine, or onions, or cheese.
Or pickles.
Oh.
You don't find anything on his burger but the burger and ketchup. And mayonnaise.
Yeah, so if they do mayonnaise. Yeah, I like very plain.
Well, lettuce and tomato if it comes with it. Yeah. So my next thought, and I mentioned this one in passing a while back, but it was very short, and so I'm just going to say it again, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit because while I liked the thought, I didn't give it that much thought about how it actually worked. And so I like to know how things work, right? So one morning I was lying in bed and I got to thinking about stuff and I thought, wow, God has been so good to me my whole life. and so many blessings, right? That I would just have to have a semi truck to haul them all around. You know, there in my mind's eye, all of a sudden I saw this little red car just pull up like next to the curb, and it was like God was there in the car and invited me to get in, and that's all we needed. We did not need the semi truck to haul around anything because God had it all right there in the red car, right?
What kind of car was it?
I don't know what it was, but this cute little red sports car, like little. Yeah, it wasn't big at all.
No? No? It was a RAV, maybe?
No. The RAV is not a sports car.
It could be. The way you drove it, it was.
The way I drove it, it was a sports car, but you
Yeah.
know, at 127 horsepower, it was not a sports car. Yes, well, you know. But it was a great car.
Okay. As long as it wasn't a Subaru, then we're
No,
okay.
it wasn't. It was just a little one. It was much the size of like those little BMWs, the small ones, the little sports car ones.
Hmm.
Yeah, the older ones. Yeah, I don't know what they look like these days. Yeah. But one of Colby's friend's dad was a dentist when he was young, and he had one of those cars, and it looked like that, only I can't remember the name of it. But like that, only it was red.
Ah.
Yes. So, let me find where I'm at.
This is how we can just step into that little red car. Isn't that it? Or is it God is the one who carries everything we
Yeah,
need?
yeah, basically, see, God is the one that carries everything we need, right? He carries all of our blessings. He, each of our next breaths, all of our next steps, and all of our plans are in His hands. And it's not too big for Him. It is not heavy for Him. And yet for us, that's just too much. We can't do all of that. And when we think we need to be carrying all of that around like it's all of ours to do, this is when it becomes a heavy load to live life, right? And it's when we get all caught up in the doing more and getting more to be more. It is. So anyways, this is how we can just step into that little red car when He pulls up, because our life is His. The time we spend is His. And we are rich when we spend His time for Him instead of His time for us. And it is only when we consider our life our own that we are kept in the prison of the past, singing the old song, doing the same old song and dance routine of living for self and carrying all our own stuff rather than just getting in that little red car when God zooms up. So basically, Matthew 11:28-30, Jesus tells us how to sing the new song. So that's the verses that say, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." So we would generally look at a couple of oxen yoked together, right? And think that way of living isn't so great because you can't do your own thing, right? You're always there having to take into consideration the one that you're yoked up to and what it is that they want to do. And sometimes you might be wanting to go over here and they want to go over there, and maybe they're bigger and stronger than you. And so you have to acquiesce to what they want, right? And yet it is the yoke that sets us free. Okay, humility and a gentle heart give our souls rest. Rest from doing and getting to be. Rest from carrying the heavy load of anxiety that goes with that, right? Okay, so Ellicott's commentary says, the burden of Christ was the commandment that most characterized His teaching. The new commandment that men should love one another, and those who obeyed that commandment would find all to which it bound them light and easy. And that is very, very true when you start to live out your life like that. So when God pulls up in His little red car and offers you a ride, don't be afraid to get in with Him. He may be driving, and maybe He has plans that you aren't really a big fan of at the moment, and you'd rather avoid those. But there is never a better time than now to start singing the new song and leaving the same old song and dance in the past.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There you have it.
There you have it. Yeah, it's also goes along with what Paul says about I've learned to be content in all situations. And that is when we live out God's words, when we live out his love, when we do that, I mean that, we read that text and we think, yeah, we think we're doing it because we know it and we're Christians and such. But when you really think about it, do we live out with joy every circumstance that comes our way? And we cannot do that under our own power. And yet, when we accept that humility of God, we do have rest for our souls in every situation. Yes. Okay. What? You're laughing at me.
No, so, okay. What's the humility of God?
The humility of God is, well, he certainly condescends to us, does he not?
The what?
He condescends to us, does he not?
Okay.
I mean, God does not have to do for us what he does. We don't deserve anything that he does for us. If we got treated the way we treat God, how would we treat that person? I think it takes great humility for God to treat us with the love and dignity and all the blessings he gives us, despite our misconception often of what serving him truly is. We may try and yet we're still not getting it right or whatever, and God still loves us, takes us back every single time. And that is God's humility towards us. And that is then when we accept that, he wants us to live that out to other people. And that is the rest for our souls. And where you find true joy and happiness is when you start living like that. Because humility is strength and power. It's not the weakness that we think that it is.
Okay. Well, I was just checking my blood sugars.
Yes, what are they?
163.
That's great. Did you read this last one right here?
Yeah.
Did you want to read that? Okay, so we have just a little bit of, a little story time story, we call it, that Brett is going to go ahead and read. And just a little side note, I borrowed one of Aspen's pillows. She was kind enough to bring it for me. Any of you short people out there, you know that there's not a couch out there that's made for short people.
If you want to have some real fun.
Oh yes, go furniture shopping with me.
That's what I was going to say.
You try to sit in there and you just like...
I should take video.
Yeah, it's true.
Sits there, her feet
It's
never
true.
touch the ground.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yes, I mean, you get back here and you're right, your feet just don't touch the ground, or you got to have them straight out in front of you because your knees are,
It's a good time for Aspen and me.
I'm sure that it is, as they sit comfortably in the chair. But anyways, someday I shall find a short person couch, and it shall be perfect, and I'll sit in it, and I'll make Brett and Aspen sit in it with me, and they'll be too big.
I won't
for
be
it.
too big for it.
Yes.
That's true.
But anyways, this lovely pink pillow is very nice in doing its job.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a little more of a, prose poetic kind of thing. Is there a title to it, or is it just story time?
No,
Just
I
all right.
wish there was, but
All right.
there isn't.
There we go. Shallow waters are safe to splash in, but I want you out in the middle of the ocean because then I am your only safety. Think of me first in all situations, and your life will change drastically. Humility sees the experiences of life with the eyeglasses of truth, and she rejoices at the opportunities to serve me, her one true God in all truth. Victory is yours. Just follow me to the ends of the earth. Through the stink, through the fire, let nothing stand in your way of following me. Be like Joseph, who said, "How can I commit this great sin against you?" Lean in close and find all I have for you. You will marvel at my ways and delight in all I do for you. Treat each situation as if I am there blowing away the miasma of lies with my pure, clear breath of truth. for I can speak none other but the truth. Waves of truth come crashing upon the shores of your life. Are you ready to leave the shore behind and get in the boat with me? Go out into the place where we can no longer see the shores of your life, but now all you can see is the vast amounts of truth in me. The shores of your life will have receded into the bottom floor of the ocean, covered in the depths of my truth. Sometimes there will be storms. Sometimes the truth seems dangerous to live out. But put your faith in me, and the storm will calm. We will walk on water, enjoying the true beauty of truth. It keeps you afloat. You'll only sink if you believe the lies. Finding who you truly are does not lie on the bottom of the ocean floor. Come and follow me, my little one, into the vastness of the ocean of truth. It is there you will find who I created you to be. Let me fill you up with truth, and you will receive her power, and she does have endless resources. Don't make your home on the shifting sands of the seashore. Put your hope in the waters of truth, the Holy Spirit filled with the salt of loving actions. Your vision will clear out there in the ocean water. Even the fog brings with it the light of truth. You have nothing to fear when you're in the rowboat of life with me. I have truth, and I have power. With me you lack nothing, nothing except the lies pride has fed you for years. It is why we must now leave the shore and what you perceive to be solid ground far behind.
Yes, I thought that went really well with what we were talking about today.
Oh. That's good. Should have thrown a crab in there, though.
A crab.
Don't let the crabs come biting at your toes.
Because it will bring you many woes.
There you go. See,
There we go.
That was my contribution to the whole poet thing there. See, that was my part. Okay, so this is why we let Miranda write everything, write everything for Salt, and I just sit here.
Oh, Brett has so
Add
many
color
good things
commentary.
today. Brett has so many good things. Good things to say. Yes.
Anyway, so thanks for joining us, and again, hope you stay warm and you don't lose power, and everything stays calm for you and good. Mm-hmm. And I guess we'll see how we all fare over the next few days. For us, it's only through Tuesday.
Right. Wednesday's supposed to be back in the 40s or 50s. 40s, I think. So that will be nice.
Yeah.
We've had an exceptionally nice winter this year, and I'm not going to complain about it at all.
No, it's been pretty mild down here in Texas. Mm-hmm. All right, so I hope you had a great Sabbath and have an awesome